Good morning, students. Are you excited? So whatever you learned in last few days, you're going to apply it today. Good luck. Shantanu will teach you how to make a calculator, right, Shantanu?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I'm
Let's
sure
start.
you all have seen the message I sent the group. So today we're going to be learning how to make a calculator, and I'll show you how the calculator looks. You can see this is the calculator, and I reload and I can test it out here.
Recording in progress.
1, 2, 3 divided by 5. You can see it prints out 24.6, and you can do lots of math here. You can clear the screen like this. I write 33 into 9. I get 297, and I can add more numbers here as well. 29765 divided by 5, I get 5953, and this is obviously correct because we're using JavaScript to do this, and the answers are going to be right. And this is just a small project you can show to your parents, to your friends, and we can do all kinds of arithmetic here, even like BODMAS. Like for the higher students, you know what BODMAS is. Basically, this 5 plus 5 is in the brackets, and then if I write divided by 3 on the outside, it's going to give you 3.333, like this, because the brackets are done first, and you can add more buttons as well. Like one thing we've not discovered is the percentage operator. If I write 12 percentage 8, you can see that 4 prints out. It's called modulo. You can search it out. What does modulo mean? And you'll find the answer that if two numbers are congruent, a modulo, then the remainder is printed out. So if I write 11 mod 3, it's 3, because if you divide 11 by 4, you're going to get 3 out as a remainder. So anyway, and you can see that my idea was from the Google calculator. So if I search for Google, like calculator, in Google, you see this thing pop up, and you can see that there's way more buttons here, like E, and then pi, and then tangent, sine, cos, all of this. I'm not using these, I'm just using the simple math ones, but you can implement more as well if you want to. Anyway, so now we're going to continue and make the calculator, make this calculator. You can see the background as well. It has a gradient. It's not a single color. Like before, we've been learning about single colors. So the way I've learned how to do this was I searched how to make a gradient background in CSS, like this. And you can see I learned it from this website. So before I made the calculator, I wanted to make a gradient, so that's how I did it, like this. And you can look at the code I wrote, code over here. If you go to this body, it says background is linear gradient, and you can see all these colors here. So now I'm going to show you how to make this website. We can do it together. So I want you to open up a simple HTML file. I want everyone to open this up. Look at this. Empty file, empty CSS. I want everyone to do that. If you're ready, then you can just type yes. Okay, I've enabled chat so you can type it everywhere, so I think the chat was disabled. Now you can try it again. Okay, perfect. So I'll just wait for a couple of more students because only one person's typed yes. And if you have any doubts, you can just type in the chat or you can raise your hand before we begin. Okay, so I can start now. So you have this blank HTML file, and the first thing you want to do is you want to go back over here to this calculator, and you can look at this calculator here. You can see it has many rows, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So obviously we're going to need something with 5 rows here, and a 6th row here, because if I type something here, you can see it's printing out. So this row is separate from these rows, but we still need it, right? So what we can do is we can go to our file and we can make a container like this. And now what I'm going to do is just check this out, code here. And obviously inside of this I'm going to make a class called calculator. Okay, so all of our calculator is going to be inside of this container. And because you can see in the container we have this as well, these two HTML texts, and you can see I styled it using CSS as well, so that's also very important. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to see, look at this over here, h1 and h2. I've done it like that. So now I'm going to write first h1, h2. what did I write? I wrote simple math calculator built by my name. Okay, so this is the simple thing I've written. I'll open this page up, 1 second. What you do is you right click on the file, click on copy path, okay? And then you go here and you paste it here. So now you can see this is our calculator. We've done this much. And you can see that this is italic, because remember the first class I told you about text formatting, HTML text formatting, and that's using these I tags over here. It's the same thing I did in the main calculator. I made it like this. Okay, now I have a container. Inside of that, I have another class called calculator. I'm going to do that, make a container, and then one called calculator. Like this. And now I'm going to make a form, because the way we do this is we take inputs using a form. Remember before I showed you how forms are used to take user inputs? Same way, if you want to print all of this out, we're going to need user inputs. So we're going to make a form, and this form won't have an action. It's not taking us to a different page. So it's just going to be a simple form without any action, like this. And inside of this, now I'm going to do two things. First thing is a display input. You can see here, div with a class of display. And second are these rows, calc rows. I'm calling them calc rows. Calculator rows. You can see that there's 5 of them, and each of them have a button. So like this, you can see. This is clear, and I have some text inside that. I'll show you what those mean. So I'm gonna make first the display row. Go here. Dot display. If I type, it gives me a class with display. And over here, you can see that there's an input. Input type equals text, name equals display input, and I'll just do it here. Input colon text. You can see here. I don't need to give it an ID. I don't need to use the ID. Now if I reload, you'll see that this is where our stuff is going to print out. If I clear, you can see my stuff is being printed out here. Same way, my thing's going to print out here, like my text. And over here I can see I can type stuff, but if you go to the main calculator, I can't type anything here. If I click on this and I type, it's not working. You can see I'm trying to type, it's not working. So there's a thing we use, it's called read only. It's an attribute. If I type read only here, if I reload, now you can see I can't type anything in here. So you can test it out. What do we do after the heading? Okay, 1 second. You can look at this code over here. This is the h1, this is the h2, and then I have a container, div class equals container, and then div class equals calculator over here. And inside of that, a form, and then this div with the display, and inside of that, an input. So you can see, basically, I'll show you how the syntax looks. If I reload, first you can see that there is a page here called container. You can see this container is taking up the entire space, right? All the horizontal space. So next I'm going to make something called a calculator. You can see this calculator is only taking up the inside portion of the container. You can see. I hope this is visible and clear. So all the purple stuff is not part of the calculator. This is the calculator. You can see everything inside, like from here to here. I can't annotate, but wait, I can. I'll just annotate here. Like this is the calculator. Okay. And this extra part is part of the container. So the pink part is including the container, and the red part is just the calculator. So I hope this makes it clear. You can see, if I do this, you can see the pink part is the container, and this is the calculator. So now I'm going to go inside the calculator. You can see there's a form. Look at the space for the form. And then you can see that there's so many divs here. This is a display. All the stuff is displayed here as text. And this are these rows with the buttons inside of them, okay? You can see they have different names as well. So I hope this format, this syntax is clear for you. This is what we're going to be using. Alright, so div class equals display. And now we need so many rows. So I'm going to write calc row times 5. Okay? Look at the syntax. Dot calc row times 5. I press enter. You can see I get 5 of them. I'm going to make some space. Alright, so now you can see this here. And now what we need is we need buttons. 4 buttons. So I'm going to make 4 buttons. I'll show you how to make a button. Button. Done. That's 1. I'm going to copy paste this 4 times. Alright, so you can see this here. It's a bit tedious. Just do this for every calc row. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 of them. Same here, look at them. I have 5 of them. And you can see if I reload, look at them. We have these buttons, you can see. So this is our syntax calculator. They look pretty similar. The only thing is this needs styling. And this is for our, so if we write something on the button, it's going to come here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put stuff inside the buttons. So I'm going to go back to the thing. Suppose I want to copy from Google. I search calculator. Suppose I like this. I can use this format, or I can make my own format as well. So I'm going to, first 4 rows, I'm going to use this format. So you can see bracket, bracket, parentheses, not parentheses. I used CE instead of parentheses. I didn't want that, because you want to, if you do this, if you do this, suppose instead of typing 7, I wanted to type 6, so I can just press CE, and you can see the last one was deleted. If I type 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, I want to type 5 instead, I can just click on this. I can type 5 again. So you can see this is very useful in a calculator. You can press on CE, it says clear entry. That's what it's known. And if I press AC, then I clear everything. So you can see that there's different use cases for both of these buttons. If I want to clear this to 5, I can press CE. If I want to clear everything, I can press AC. So you can see that, that's why I use CE. So now I'm going to put the things inside of the buttons. So this, is our first row. If I reload, parentheses CE AC, you can see it's the same thing. I have to do this for all of the buttons. So just do these. Alright, I'm gonna show you how to add the symbols later, okay? Just 1 second. Alright, so now let's go back to our code. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So these are correct. Now we need these symbols, right? Like divide, multiplication, minus, and plus, and this equal to, and this dot, right? So what we can do is we can search HTML entity codes. Okay? Check this out. I want you to copy this. HTML entity codes for which one do we want? Division sign. And you can go here. I'm going to share the website with you. Look at this. This is a new concept. It's called entity codes. So basically, if you have like symbols you want to show, you use them. Okay? So now I go down. I search for division. Divide. You see this symbol over here? This. Wait. Yeah, divide. I have to click on try it, I think. Try it. Alright, yeah. So you can see this thing is showing up, right? And you can look at the code here. It says I will display @ and then this stuff here. Like you can see @ hashtag 247 comma, right? Like semicolon. So look at this. This is what you need. So if I go back to my main code, you can see over here for the divide. Oh, I can type @ divide as well. So in VS Code, you can do this, or you can do the hex code I showed you, entity code. If I paste this here and I reload, you can see that this shows up. I hope you can see this. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Look at this. The division symbol is popping up for us. So you can use anything you want. For me, I'm using divide because it's easier that way. I can just show you like this. If I type @ right? DIV. You see divide? Look at this. Character entity representing this division. So I'm going to click on it. And there are two different things you can see. There's lots. On the right, it shows you which each one is. I'm going to click on divide. So now I'm going to do it for all of the other buttons as well. I can just check here. These are normal. Divide, cross, minus, period, and plus equals, right? So I go back. Alright, at the rate, cross. You can see that this is what we need, CROSS. And there's another one, but this one looks different. So if I type this out and I reload, look at this. This one looks very stupid. So we don't want this. It looks funny. We're going to use something else, okay? We're going to use the one with the capital C. And they're totally different. Because if I reload, now you can see this looks like the multiplication sign. So does anyone have any doubts? Is this what you see on your file as well? I hope you can see this. You should have the exact same looking file. Please, if you're done, then you can just show me that this is what you see. If this is what you see, okay, can you please send me the code? I'll repeat it and I'll send you the code too. So I want you to look at my code over here. So to which part have you all reached? Like, have you all have the numbers? Does everyone have the numbers? First I'll repeat the entity code part because I think that's where everyone's stopped. So if I reload, okay, so some people don't have the numbers as well. Okay, so Sarvesh, can you look at my screen here? Can you tell me what's missing for you? Like, for this, does yours look similar to this? You know what I'll do? I'll just share this code. Please copy paste the code. Okay, so now look at my screen. You can see that this is a text document. I want you to copy paste it, okay? Your page should look like this. Control A, Control C. I copied it, and then I go to my file and I paste it there. Okay, and I rename this to .html again. Sarvesh, please copy the code I sent. Okay, it's done. So everyone, please go back to your websites. Open up the website. One second. Yeah, open up the website. Is this what you see? Does everyone see this? Look at my page. This is how it looks like in real life. Like, this is how it looks. Okay? Does everyone have the same screen? Okay, one person says yes, yes, two. If you have any doubts, please ask now. Please raise your hands. No doubts, I'm guessing. Okay, if you have doubts, you can type them in the chat. So let's continue on. Now I told you about entity keys. What you can do is you can go inside the button. You see all this text insert, right? Inside the button. If I type stuff, the text can come out. If I type this, suppose I reload, you can see that the button has this text. If I click on it, nothing happens. So now what we need to do is we need to make this an entity code. So for that, I type at the rate, like and, this and symbol, and I type divide because I want the division sign. I type divide. You can see it says character entity representing this. So I type this, and then I reload, and I get this. They look the same, see? I'm gonna zoom in a bit. See, this is what you see, the division symbol. So I want you to do this for everything we need. We need a division, we need cross, we need minus, we need plus, and we need equals to. So I'm gonna go cross with a capital C. You can see I type and the rate, and I get this. On the right hand side, you can see how the symbol looks. Character entity representing this symbol. You can see it's printing it out. It's printing this out. Can you show the code again? Here, this is the code. This is the code. Division button, that's the code. For a cross, this is the code. So now if I reload, go to my website, now I have a cross as well. So I'm going to do this quickly for all the others. And for minus and plus, you can just type the symbol out, like on your keyboard. You have that, right? Like on the keyboard, if I type minus, and over here if I type plus, you'll see that it shows up. Minus is showing up, plus is showing up, right? If they look the same, minus and plus. So I'll type plus here because that's where I want it. And if you want to, for the HTML code as well, you can just type the HTML code as well. Like if I search for HTML code for minus sign, this is all I need to do. Look how easy it is. I go here, look at this, minus sign, and then all I need to do is I need to click on the HTML entity. Look at this. @ See, you can just Google it. You can always Google for the stuff you need. I go @ I type it here, and I reload, and you can see the minus sign pops up. So I'll do the same thing, HTML sign for plus. I just type @ and I find it. Here. If I reload, you can see it's the same thing. So I want you to do this quickly. For the other two buttons, what do we need? I go here, I see dot and equals to, right? So I'm going to write HTML code for dot sign. It says @ here. Copy it. Paste it. Right. Which button code do you want? You can just ask me. Like which one? You just go online. If I search for HTML code for full stop sign, like look what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I want this button, suppose. I want this thing. I search for full stop. If I want equals to, I search for equal sign. I want everyone to find the buttons like this. I cannot share the code. I want you to search for it and I want to copy it yourself. I want you to copy this yourself and I want you to have this. If you have this, please type yes. Because this is what being a web developer means. Like, we have to Google for the answer. This is how your page should look. I'm going to take a screenshot. I'm going to wait as long as you need, okay? We are in no rush. Look at my page. Yeah, it's compulsory. You have to do that. If you don't, then it's not going to work. If I remove the semicolon, look what's happening. All of this orange stuff is becoming white. You can see. And if I reload and I go to my page, now you can see it just says @ equals @ plus. I need the semicolon. It's very important for you to have the semicolon. Once I type the semicolon, it becomes orange. So now I see that lots of people have said yes. I'm going to continue on. And yeah, that's it. So you can see that all of our buttons are working. Like all of our buttons are here. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure that when we type something, it comes out like on the screen. So let's see what the code is. Over here. Let's see what I've done, okay? So type equals button. First thing we need to do is we need to specify all of these types as buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I want you to press Control Alt and then down arrow key. Control Alt down arrow. And type equals button. We've already discussed this, remember? If we don't have this, it's going to submit the form, right? Like if I change this form action to / something and I remove this, if I reload, I press this, you can see it's taking me this place, right? It's taking me to this side. You remember in forms we discovered if you don't have a type, then it takes you somewhere else. So what we need is we need a type of button. Okay, so if I write type equals button here, now if I reload, if I press on this, nothing's happening, you can see. So I want you to do this quickly for all of them. Okay, Sahana's done. That's great. Watch me. I'm doing it as well. What is the shortcut again? Okay, I'll tell you. It's Control plus Alt plus down arrow. Look at this. If I do Control Alt down arrow, you can see that it's gonna select the lines. So if I go here, Control Alt down arrow, you can see I can type stuff here. Like you can see, multiple lines. And if I do Control Alt up arrow, Control Alt up arrow, you can see that now it's going up. So I can do the same thing. It works both ways. So I hope you can see that. Now I'm gonna refresh. Now let's see how it looks. If I reload, if I press on this, nothing's happening, right? Because it's not submitting the form. So even though my form says submit here, it's not submitting. So I want you to do this. I want you to delete this. Now your code should look like this. I'm gonna zoom out a bit. I hope you can see my code. This is how it looks. Everyone have this? Everyone should have this. All of them should be buttons. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some basic styling. Okay? Now we're going to do some basic styling. So if I go to this, first off, I'm going to style the H1s and the H2s because they're pretty simple, right? So I'm going to go, remember we made a Photoblog website as well. First I'm going to link my CSS, right? So go to your head, in the last line I want you to type link :CSS, like this. This is how you link your CSS, and the name of the file is code along. So I'm going to write code along, like this. This is my CSS over here. I hope you can see that. Just please link your CSS. Now we're gonna write some CSS. So if I check if it's linked or not, I can make it a background color, for example, like this. And if I reload, you see that everything's gonna be purple. So I can see my CSS is working. So everyone, please do this. Please link your CSS. And I'll show you the syntax for linking. You have to type inside of the head, you have to type LINK, link. And then over here it says CSS, right? You have to select that. Select this. Now you can see that this is it. href is style.css. We don't want that. We want code along, right? So I'm going to write code, CODE, and you can see it starts working. Code along. And over here, if I write some CSS stuff, we covered this. Remember background color? If I reload, you can see it's purple. And I can change it as well. It's green now. So please type done. Because we need to write CSS. Look at this. All of this is done using CSS. If we don't have CSS, then our website looks like this. Like, I'll show you. Without CSS, our website looks like this. It looks bad. This is how it looks. We don't want this. We want this, right? Can you show the linking code? Yes. You go to your like this here. Link. I type here. Link :CSS. I click on this, and over here I can write the name of the file, code along. Okay, I'll wait. I think there's a couple people doing the HTML. You can see the HTML. It's pretty simple. I have these buttons, button type equals button, and all of these have the symbols you want. Like if I go to my page, this is how it looks. Pretty simple. What is link.atom? We're not going to cover that. It's a different thing. I'm not sure about it myself. So anyway, now we're going to write some CSS. So you can go to the main style sheets page. You can see it. First off, I gave all of them some properties. Okay, you can just check these properties out. We've covered some of them, like box, like font family. I'm using Verdana. So if I go here, this is Verdana font, right? So remember universal selectors, we talked about them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the now, because I'm going to use it to give everything a margin 0, padding 0, border 0. So I want you to go here universal sign. I'm gonna write, you can see here, box sizing, font family, and I'll show you what these mean later, okay? For now, just copy it. Box sizing, border box, font family, Verdana, margin, 0 pixels, padding, 0 pixels, border, 0 pixels, and the last one was overflow y : auto, okay? Overflow y : auto. So now I'm going to show you what these mean. So now if I reload, you can see that all of our stuff has changed, right? So first thing you'll notice is that these buttons, they've changed as well. They've lost their borders and everything. So now look, I'll just zoom in a bit. This is how it looks. The font has changed. If I reload, if I delete all the stuff, you'll see that it's going to change as well. So we're doing CSS, and we're changing how the website looks. So now if I look at this, just look at this for 1 second, like memorize this in your head, and if I press reload, you can see that these changed. So we're just changing it, and we're making it look better, okay? So I want you to do this, copy all this code I wrote, and I'll explain what all of this does later, okay? Soon, I'll explain all of it soon. So I hope everyone is done with this. This is how the website should look. Does everyone reach this part? I'll share the CSS code inside the chat as well. This is the CSS code. You can copy this and you can paste it in your files. And I'll explain what each of these do. If you're done, please type yes, done. Okay, 1 person done, 2 person done, perfect. I'll wait for a few more seconds. Perfect, lots of people are done. So let's continue on. Next thing we need for this simple calculator is you can see over here the H1 and the H2, they're centered, right? So I'll just show you the code how to do that, and if you want to do it yourself, you can always search the web, how to center an H1, right? You can use text align center on the H1 element, and will automatically center the H1, so that's what we're going to do. Remember how we learned how to select it? I can just look at the styles, and I used some styles on them. I've taught you all of these. I'm going to show them to you later, like right now. So I'm going to do it for H1 and H2, H1, comma, H2. Remember we learned about this, comma. This is to select both of them. So I write H1, you can see it says selector specificity 001, and then over here H2, selector specificity 001. So they're both being selected. And now if I write text align center, I reload. Now you can see that they're centered. So if I do this, it's centered. And we're going to center the calculator as well. We need to center everything. So now I'm going to look, and I'm going to add some styles. So first thing you can see is that we need some spacing between the two of them. Look at them. They're pretty squished together, right? Compared to this, these are more spaced apart, and you can also see that they're uppercase. Like over here, these are not uppercase. So remember, we learned how to make stuff uppercase. I can search it as well. How to make text uppercase in CSS. You can see it says text transform uppercase. So if you're ever curious, just search the web, and that's how you do it. And that's how I learned as well. Text transform uppercase. Now if I reload, simple math calculator built by my name. And we discussed this in our CSS as well, if you remember, how to make it uppercase. So now you can look at all these styles. I'm going to copy paste them to save time. Alright, first thing is font size 25 pixels. I'll just comment everything out. Like I'll just show you step by step. Font size is used to change the font size. So now you can see that this is the font size. It's changed. It's 25 pixels. I can make it bigger as well if I want bigger text. I can make it 50 pixels. Now you can see it becomes bigger. For me, I like 25 pixels. I think this looks good. So that's why I'm going to keep it as 25, right? So now I'm going to make this 25 pixels. Next is text transform uppercase. Now it's going to make everything uppercase. Everything's uppercase. You can see here. Next is font weight 600. Now if I go here and if I reload, you can see it's going to become bolder by just a bit. I don't think it's very clear on the white background, but it should become bolder. And in fact, we might have some other styles that are making it bold. And next I'm going to do font family Verdana. So now if I reload, now watch the font change, okay? It's changed. It become Verdana. Next is margin top 15 pixels. Now if I reload, you can see that there's some margin comes out from the top, 15 pixels. One more thing. Actually, we don't need this here because we've already specified in the starting, right? Font family Verdana, so we don't need to do it here. So I think that's why it didn't change in the starting. So we can continue on. We don't need this actually. So we can continue on. You can see margin top 15 pixels. It's now there's some margin here. And what I did was I added margin bottom 20 pixels as well. So now if I reload, you can see that there's space here as well, 20 pixels. So if I go to the inspect element, I click on this, you can see the margin, right? If I go down, you can see margin. It shows on the right hand side, 15 and 20. So that's what I did. And you can test it yourself, which one you like more. And last one was text align center. So we already know what that does. It makes the text centered. So now if I zoom out, this is how the text looks. And for our website as well, this is how it looks. So they're pretty similar. And now you can see that this H1's bigger. So what I did was, after that I selected the H1 itself. Remember in CSS we learned about cascading styles. So now if I select the H1, now it's going to change. It's only for H1. So I can check. I made font size 35 pixels. So I can do font size 35 pixels. Now if I reload, now you can see that this is bigger. Same way, they look exactly the same. So we've done the styling for our H1. Can these attributes be in any order? Yes, they can. That's the best part. Since we're separating them with colons, they can be anywhere. So if I do this, I exit and I paste it here. I cut, paste it. And now if I go to my page, you can just look at it carefully. If I reload, nothing changes. So it doesn't matter which order they're in. I usually keep it alphabetical. So that it's easier to read. So usually for me I keep it alphabetical, but you can keep it however you want, okay? I'm not going to waste time doing that now, but you can usually keep it alphabetical. So now we're done with the H1 and H2. How do you change the space between H1 and H2? So you can just use this margin property. So if I go here to the H1, and you can see over here, I select it, you can see it says margin 1520. If I remove this margin, you can see that they're sticking together. And once I add them, they're spacing out. You can see this here. So this is it. If you want to learn more about it, you can search for box model. Box model in CSS. So remember, if you want to space things out between two elements, we use margin, because this is how it goes outside the border. It's the same way, since they're two separate elements outside of the border, we're gonna give it margin. So I'm gonna continue on. If everyone has this, please type done. You can look at the website now. It looks much better. It's looking pretty similar now. Now we need to fix the calculator. It's a big part. So now I'm gonna go back to my style sheets and I'm gonna see what I wrote. Okay. First thing I wrote, doc container, and this. So this is basically what you use to center. Okay. So suppose I want to center my stuff over here. You can see everything here. I want to center this entire thing. I searched online how to center elements, how to center everything in a container. Okay, so you just Google it. You'll find some how to center it horizontally. You'll find lots of websites that show you how to do it, and they use code that's pretty similar to mine. Okay, so you can see justify content centers here, and it's gonna center vertically. You can search it online how to do it, and for me, and you can just copy this code as well. You can see this website Stack Overflow. So like this, center a block element, set margin. You can do it many ways. So for me, I'm going to use these 3 lines of code. for my container, I'm going to do this. If I go to my website, you can see the doc container. This is wrapping everything, right? Everything's inside the container. So that's what I'm going to do. And to select a class, remember we use dots. This is for classes. I have a class here. It says class of container. If it was ID, I can use ID as well. But for ID, I need to change this to a hashtag. If I save this here, let's check it out. You can see everything's centered, first of all. So I'm using ID selector, and if I want to make a class, I can just change it to class. Usually we use classes, okay? This is like a standard practice. For containers and stuff, we use classes. So now if I go here, and if I reload, nothing's gonna happen. Watch. See? Nothing changed, because we're just changing the way we're selecting things. So everyone please copy and paste this code. I'm gonna share it with you as well. You can check it out. I'll explain it to you later, today or tomorrow as well. We haven't covered these things. Some of them we haven't covered. Like display and justify content we haven't covered. We covered align items. I'm not sure if you remember. We covered this. We didn't cover display and justify content, because these are big topics. But if you've done this, please type yes. You should have code similar to this. This is how it looks. Okay, so 2 people have it. I'll just wait for 1 minute. Okay, perfect. Lots of people are ready. Let's continue on. So the next thing we want to look at this website is we need to make this big, right? This calculator. So if I go here, I have a container here. Inside of that I have a calculator. I want the calculator to be big. So now I'm going to write some styles for the calculator itself. If I go to my website that we made right now, like if I reload, Control R, I inspect it. Let's look at the calculator, for example. This is the calculator. And for this website, this was the calculator. So you can see this versus this. So we need to make this big. What do you want to fix? Because this looks perfect to me. Like, is there any problem? This is what we're doing, right? It looks same, like similar to mine. This is italic. Oh wait. Okay, so basically you should have divs like this, like the ones I made. You need to have divs like this. You can see, I hope you have divs like this. This is our code, right? Div with a class of calcro inside of the form, like this. You can just check this out, check out the code I wrote, make sure it's the same. This is the code I wrote, just make sure it's the same. You can copy it and you can indent it like later, but you're pasting it in the website, on this app I mean, sorry. So just do that, and if you have a doubt, you can just ask me again, okay? So now we're going to continue on. I'm sure most of you have it like this. So now we're going to change how the container looks. So you can see I found some styles online when I googled it. First thing is background color, padding, and border radius. Okay, so let's try this out. So inside of for the calculator, let's try these out and see what it does. So if I reload. Okay, so now you can see first things first, I changed the color of the calculator. I wanted this color. So if I want to change the color, obviously you just go online, search for color picker. Color picker, like this. You can see, this is from Google. And I can search for a good color if I like this color, for example. I can just copy the hex code here. And if you want to change the background color, remember we use the property background color. So I did this, I found this color, I like this color. I did like this background color, colon, and then I pasted it here as a hex code. And one more thing you can do. So for this website, you can see this is how the website looks, right? The gradient. What I did was I searched for color palette. Color palette. Hex codes. You can see. And now if you go to images, you'll see lots of cool palettes. So you can see the first one that I liked was this one. Look at this, 8 beautiful color palettes for your next design project. So if you want to make a good website, you can use websites like this. Like you can see this is a palette as well. This is a palette as well. And they have the hex codes there. So like lots of people, they already made it. the palettes you can use. So you can use this in your website over here. And in fact, if you search how to make a website beautiful, you can see that they say pick 2 or 3 base colors at most for your design. Keep your design balanced, use grids and typography. So we're doing all of that. Make your elements by white space. We're doing all of this. So this is how we make the website look beautiful, right? So anyway, search for this if you want good website design ideas. If you want that, okay? So I'm gonna continue on. Padding 30 pixels, border radius 40 pixels. This is some simple stuff. If I go back to my document, first off, I inspect. You can see we talked about the padding property, right? Padding property, it's used to give space inside something. Like if I go to this calculator, you can see the green stuff, right? It's highlighted. That is padding. If I go here, this is padding. So if you go to the calculator as well, we had some padding. If I remove the padding, let's see how it looks. I can go here, I can check it out. If I remove the padding, over here, right? Yeah, padding. If I remove it, now you can see how ugly it looks. Look at this. Look at how it looks without padding. Just glance at it. This is padding. So it's just simple 30 pixels padding. Pick 30 pixels on all sides. And the last thing we need is border radius. Look at this, border radius. Look at the borders, okay? Look at this border over here. I'm gonna annotate for you. Look at this and this, okay? Like all 4 of these. If I remove this, yeah, if I remove this, look at the borders, they changed, right? It was circular and now it's like square. So we use this to make the borders circular, and I can change the pixel size. If I make it 400 pixels, you see now it's very circular. So for me, I like 40 pixels, that's why I'm keeping it 40 pixels. And you can always search online how to do it, how to make borders rounded in CSS. You can see it says border radius property. I'm gonna delete the annotate. Yep. So CSS border radius property. Any element rounded corners. So that's what we're using. Simple stuff. We covered all of this in CSS when I was teaching you guys. You'd already know most of this. Alright, so let's continue on. Now we've made our calculator look pretty similar as well. Look at this, this and this. So the calculator itself looks similar. Now we need to change inside the calculator. This is the biggest part and the most important part, right? You can see here. Hope this is clear. We need to change every button. To select a button, if I go to my code, you can see that there are buttons, right? Over here. So I can just select all buttons if I want to. If I want to, I can just type. So I want to select all buttons and inputs. I'll just show you what I'm doing. If I go to my website, you can see I have all of these buttons and this one input, right? And I go to my normal website, you can see here all of these buttons and this one input. So I want to select all of them, like inside. So that's what I use. I can use just this simple thing, right? Buttons and inputs. We learned how to do this. And if you want to be more specific, you can just specify that they're inside stuff. Like if I write div, inside of that a button. So now you can see I'm more specific. It's 002 compared to this. This is 001. So you don't have to do that. It's optional. Like in the style sheets I wrote doc calculator form button. So what that does, it says a calculator class, inside of that a form, inside of that a button. So you can see the specificity. It's 012. So now it's very specific. So you can do that as well if you want to. You can do that as well. Just to be safe, I'm gonna do it. Okay. But it's gonna work regardless because we don't have anything else in our website. But usually we should do this because we want to be specific. I taught you about specificity. If we had different buttons somewhere else, then we'd use this. Okay. So now you can see I have lots of what do you call it? Lots of CSS here, lots of styling. It's pretty massive. I'm gonna go. Alright, I'm gonna copy paste all of this. Let's start from the scratch. Okay. I'm gonna comment all of this out. First thing I did border 0. So let's reload. So I want you to stare at these buttons carefully. So we remove the borders from them, okay? This is how you remove the borders. And if you've noticed that we've already done this in the starting, so if you want, you don't need to repeat this. You can remove it as well, it's going to do the same thing. But important thing is these buttons don't have borders. If I set them borders, then you can see how they're going to look. If I write border 100 pixels just to show you, if I reload, it's going to change. Wait, sorry. I'll just check to see if it's working, because nothing's changing. Just check if this is rendering. Okay, yeah, so all of these are being applied, so the styles are being applied to them. So just want to confirm that. Alright, so now next we can do is we can make outline 0. I think we've already specified. Okay, we haven't. So if I do outline 0, I can just try it out once. Does anything change? I don't think these changes are very noticeable, but they're important, okay? And you can just Google them online. Like, you can see what outline does. What does outline do? A line drawn outside the elements to make the elements stand out. We can just remove all of this. We don't need this. So that's what we're doing. Okay. Next, we're going to give it a width and a height. So I'm going to hard code some widths and heights. Remember, I already taught you how to do this. Width and height, very important. If I reload, now you can see each of our buttons are pretty big. Look at them. They're pretty big now. And this input as well. You can see that it's white. We don't want that. We don't want it to show. Like, we don't want it to be white. Like you can see over here, there's nothing here. Only if I type, then it points up this way. This input's not white. So we're going to change that later. Next is border radius 10 pixels, right? Let's check it out. Let's check out what it does. If I reload, now you can see all these buttons are rounded, so they look better. Simple. How to make rounded corners. We just use the rounded thing. Next, we're going to write box shadow. See, look at this. This is some complicated stuff. And this was new for me as well. Like, I didn't know how to do it before I learned it yesterday or 2 days ago. So basically what I'm doing is I'm giving all of these shadow. Now you can look at this, for example. This is how it looks. And if you want, the way I learned it was I searched online. How to give a button a shadow in CSS. In CSS, shadows are created using the box shadow property. So if you go here, or if you go to this website instead, like the first links, try it yourself. You can see that this box shadow is showing up. And you can find a website as well, box shadow CSS maker. Suppose I search this. First thing I searched for, and you can see that I'm changing how it looks. Look at this. I'm changing it. I write 200 pixels. I write 200 pixels. Blur radius. Look at all this different stuff. And you can see over here the first link. This is what it looks like. Box shadow and then all of this. So I can just copy the code here. And if I paste it, you'll see that it changes. Now if I reload, now you can see that it has black shadow basically. And you can change the color as well. Color here. Like this, if I copy it again. Now if I reload. Okay. It should work. Not sure why it's not, but it doesn't matter. Main thing is we found this box shadow we needed. And I'll share this code with you. This is the 4 things we wrote till now, okay? Check it out. I like this color, that's why I used it. You can use a different color, of course. It's all based on you. What do you like? It should be a personalized website. If I change the color like this, I make it green. Now you can see it's green. But I don't want green, I want blue. This blue I chose before. It looks aqua-ish. So now I'm going to reload. Now you can see that now we need to fix these buttons, right? So you can see these buttons here, they're transparent. So next thing you can do is you can make them transparent. So the way you do that is you write background transparent. Now let's see what happens. Now you're going to see the website look better instantly. Now if I reload. Okay, so now all of these are transparent. So you can see that just like this, all of it's transparent, right? Same way, we're going to do it here. Everything's transparent. Next. Font size 20 pixels. I'm going to change the size of every button. like the font. So now you can see the font's bigger. Inside, I hope you can see this. Font is bigger. And one of the final things we're doing is we're going to change the color to white. You can see I wrote hashtag FFF and now it's white. So I can do it as well. Like I can write 6 F's as well. FFFFF. Like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I keep it capital to make it look good. I like capital letters. But even small works. If I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're both the same. You can see the color pops up. So you can use either of them. I use capital letters. Now if I reload, now you can see that this is white and looks kind of decent. It looks fine. We need to fix the borders and the margins, of course, but at least our buttons look pretty similar. Last 2 things we need to do: cursor, pointer, and margin 10 pixels. So I'll just do them both. Now if you see, if I hover over this, you see my pointer changes. Look at this. Look at this. If I hover, my pointer changes. It used to be an arrow, but if I hover, it becomes this thing, pointer. You just see what cursor does. Cursor in HTML. CSS, sorry, cursor in CSS. This is CSS. Specifies the mouse cursor to be displayed when pointing over an element. Yeah, can you send the code for the border shadow? Of course, yep. 1 second. So for the border shadow, this is all you need. And I think there's 2 things. Like, if you go online, if you search for border shadow, you can see that there's okay, it's just called box shadow. So it's not border shadow, it's box shadow. You can just search it online. You can check it out. This is the website for MDN. You can see that the borders are being shown here. I can change how they look. And I can search for the syntax. Look at this. This has 2 shadows. One on the left, one on the right. So you can learn how to do it. We don't need this. I like it like this. This looks good. So now you can see that our buttons look pretty good now. I hope everyone has this. Does everyone have this? You can see now our calculator looks pretty good. Only thing is, look at our input. This is also looking like a button. We don't want that, right? So we're gonna change it later for the input. Can you show the code? Yeah, sure. I'll share this code. This is the code I wrote. So I hope you understand how I did it and why I did it. And one more thing I want to show you is if I can delete both of this. Okay, go to my website. Let's look how it looks right now. If I reload, nothing should change. Okay, I'm going to reload in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, reload. You can see nothing changed. So it's personal preference. As I said, I like it like this, so that's why I'm going to keep it like this. It's more specific. It's good coding practice. So you can see nothing's changing. I hope everyone has this. And what's the time? It's almost 12. So I'll just wrap it up in 5 minutes because we have a lot of other stuff to do as well. So tomorrow we're going to continue with some styling as well. We have to change all of this, right? But I hope you can see how I've done this. I hope your website looks fine because tomorrow we need to add the JavaScript. Like you see, I click on this button, nothing's happening. Tomorrow we need to add the JavaScript. Tomorrow's going to actually do math. Today was just styling, CSS, HTML. So one more thing I'm going to show you is form display input. Okay, right. So if you go here, you can see this input over here. You know what? I'm going to put some text in here just so you can see it. The way you add some text, if you write value, okay? If I write some garbage here, if I reload, you can see this text here, right? Over here. First off, you can see that this is button shaped, so we don't want that. We want it to be entire length. Like we want it to be all the way across. So you can see this is all the way across. Like this, you can see. I can scroll through it as well. If I do some math here. Oh wait, I meant multiplication. Yeah. So yeah, so you can see I scroll all the way across. It's being scrolled like this. I hope you can see this. All of the CSS code isn't showing even after linking. Okay. That should not happen. Just make sure you linked it properly. and you make sure that the names are the same, and they should be in the same place here, like you can see. Yeah, so this is how it looks. Someone wanted all the CSS code. I'll just share all of it. Till now we've written this much. Everyone check this out. You can check it out yourself. You can copy paste the code, and we're gonna have to end the class in like 2 minutes, so I'll just show you something very quickly. So yeah, for the input, what I did was I changed how it looks. So if I go to the main style sheets that I wrote, form.display, display flex, justify content flex end. Okay, let's try it out. Form.display, display flex, justify content flex end. Now if I reload, look at this. You see the input? It's being over here, like it moved to the right hand side. I hope you can see this here. This is how I did it. And in fact, you can just make it simpler for you. You can give it a class as well, like an ID as well. Like if I go here, input ID equals display input, for example, and if I write hashtag display input, this is how I did it. If I reload, wait, what? This should work. I'm sorry. Is there some kind of display input inside display? Same way. Hashtag display input. Okay. So let's see what's happening. Oh, right. Never mind. So for this, we need to use the other one. Other syntax. Where is it? I'll delete this. So I just want you to copy this syntax, okay? And I'll explain to you tomorrow why we need to use this. But you can just check out this syntax. It's pretty similar. Form.display, and over here inside this, because basically the mistake I did was I was selecting this. You see the form here, and inside that display, div class equals display. That's what I'm selecting, right? So it's not the input itself. It's this display div. I hope you can see the difference. So if I go back and I just write dot display, it's gonna be the same thing. Like if I reload the website. So always be careful of what you're selecting. If I reload, it's like this, right? Like it's on the right hand side. And if I write form.display, form.display, I reload, you see nothing changed. So it's the same thing. I'm just selecting the display class. So if I go back here, inside of that, you see class equals display. This is what I'm selecting, and you can see the stuff is being put here. So I can give this an ID as well if I want to. If I want to, I can give this an ID. If I want to, display ID, for example, and I write hashtag display ID, you see nothing's gonna change. So be careful what you're selecting. Now if I reload here, if I reload, 3, 2, 1, reload, nothing changed, right? So just be careful what you're selecting. So we're selecting this display, and the text we gave it is this. We gave it these properties. I'll explain to you tomorrow what these properties are, because we're out of time. So this is all I've done, and I can keep it like this if you want, and you can change it as well. You can just keep it class equals display, and I can select it using class. It's all up to you, okay? Doc display. This is how you select classes. If I reload, nothing's gonna change. See, nothing changed. So this is how it looks. And one last thing I'll do is I'll just change how the input looks. It's just 2 lines of code. It's pretty simple. So if I go here, form, display, input, look at this. Form, display, input. So all the inputs inside of the display. Instead of that, to make it simple for you, I can just write, I can give it an ID, right? I can give it an ID, display input. For example, suppose I do this, I can just write hashtag display input. And I can copy the same code here. I'll just explain to you tomorrow what these do. And now if I reload, now you can see it's disappeared. And right now we can't see it, but it's there. Like, look at this. This is the input. So this is what we want. If you want it to look like this, if I reload, it looks like this. So they look same. Like this. I hope you can see this. This is the input. I'll show you the code I wrote for the input. Like this. like this. So you can see this. This is what I'm doing. Please be careful and please use the same terminology. Like if you want to use my terminology, you can use that. You can use your own as well. So this is what I've done. And one more thing you can do is you can just change the cursor as well. Like suppose I go here. Like if I go here, right? I reload. I test this calculator out. I type stuff here. You can see if I go over here, the cursor becomes like this thing. It becomes a pointer, right? So we don't want that. We want it to be unpointable. We don't want people to click on this because this should not be selected. So what we can do is we can just change the cursor. Remember I just showed you cursor, pointer. Cursor, I can make it none. Just go cursor none. Now if I reload, oh okay, we don't want none, we just want the normal thing apparently. Okay, I'll just search online for the cursor thing. Cursor default property. Cursor default CSS. Yeah. So default value auto. Let's just try auto. And if I reload, now you can see, yeah, so it looks the same. So can you show the form.display input code and the display part's not working? Okay, so just go back here. Let's use one standard thing. Okay, so I'm gonna write dot display. Inside of that, I'm gonna write input. Okay, so I want everyone to use this because this is the best way to do it. Here, you can see here, dot display input, and I have all this code. So I'm gonna copy all of this code. I want everyone to try it out. If there's a problem, please let me know now. Otherwise, we'll end the class. Okay? Everyone, try this out. Dot display input. I go to my code along. You can see I have a class called display, and nothing here. The input has no ID, no class, no anything. So that's all. Just check it out now. Go to the website. Go here. Yeah, so this is how it should look. Background, transparent. Okay, so I'm just gonna end it now. Tomorrow we're gonna fix this out because it's glitching, but you all have to go, I'm sure. So we'll just check it out tomorrow, okay? But for now, your website should look like this. I hope this looks like this for all of you. You can look at this. This is how it looks. This is how our website looks. Tomorrow we're gonna fix some more HTML, CSS, and we're gonna write the JavaScript part. Oh. Ma'am, you're
It's
unmuted.
been a great pleasure, Shantanu. I wish I could have joined your earlier classes. I can see you've been doing a great job. I wanted to congratulate not just you, but all the participants who have been diligently following your classes. Great job. We want all of you to function together like this. You know, it gives me so much pleasure to see that you are being able to form your own interest-based groups. That is what your education is all about. Learning is all about, that you become effective at communication, effective at sharing your ideas, and I'm sure we'll get lots of big ideas through these classes. I enjoyed seeing you, Shantanu, seeming so comfortable, so happy doing what you enjoy doing. I think that is being communicated very well to the participants as well. I also wish to commend your communication skills. I'm sure you'll agree that effective communication happens only when both sides are equally engaged. So I could see from the chats that everybody is well engaged in what you are doing. However, being your English teacher, I can't help telling you, slow down a bit.
Okay,
It helps. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Breathe, slow down, it helps. But I do believe that you have actually slowed down considerably. Considering what I remember you, the speed at which you used to speak and communicate, I do believe that you've made an effort at slowing down. Maya ma'am, can't thank you enough, ma'am. The way you have been spending every day of your precious time nurturing these young talents, absolutely absolutely fabulous job, ma'am. Thank you so much. And Shantanu, I'm very excited with what you are doing. And I can see that, there are so many others who are really eager to do more, to learn more. I can see Pavan is here too. And I'm sure that this is going to, Shantanu, are you sharing with the student council? I want other council members also to become more proactive in sharing their skills.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so make sure that you are sharing. Do also prepare a sort of a feedback sheet, so that you yourself can see what are the things that we need to learn more when we are conducting sessions like this. I really want all of you to be able to do that. Congratulations, all those of you. Let me quickly go through the participants list. I can see Pavan as the co-host there, and then Akshat, Anish, Arahan, Arush, Avni, Harshita, Ivana, Krishna, Mitansh, Prapti, Rudransh, Sahana, Sarvesh, Senthil, Siddharth, Sid, Tanya. So glad to see each one of you here. I'm sure that you are going to not just learn about web development, but more about reaching out, engage with each other, form more interest based groups. Come to us with your big ideas, and let's take DPS forward. This is the month of our Founders Day, so I'm so glad to see the school spirit being exhibited by the Digital Tech and Media Society and by all of your group members. Very well done. And stay connected. Okay, even after your classes end, make sure that you are connected as those who have a special interest in web development and in being together as the DPS family. Okay, so very well done. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all for joining. We'll continue
Thank you,
tomorrow as
ma'am.
well with what we left off today. Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow.